Welcome back for episode 30 of the Goliath Gamecast. I'm Charlie Rogers, and today I'm joined, as always, by Nick Steinberg.
Hey!
Jumping right into this week's episode, we're going to start with what we've been playing. Nick, what have you been playing since the last time we spoke?
Not a whole lot, actually. But one game I have been playing is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and I believe you've been playing this as well.
I have. Now, did you start because...
I started because I saw you playing it. I saw you had an Instagram story up,
Yeah.
and it's like, Hellblade, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have that. I should really get on that
That's
so we
so
can talk
funny.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, when I came in, you're like, oh, I started Hellblade. I was actually, after I started, I played for about 3 hours one day. I'm like, oh man, I got to tell Nick to finally get into this game.
Yeah.
And then when I came into the office, you were like, oh, I started Hellblade. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, I'd say, 3 hours is about what I've put into it so far.
Yeah, we talked a little bit. We're kind of, I think, in kind of the same area
yeah,
right now.
I think I'm a little behind you right now, but I mean, I don't think this is a short game. I don't think it's a long game. I think 6 to 8 hours is what I've heard.
That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you think so far?
Well, I think it's... If I had played it before we did our Game of the Year, I think just in the first 3 hours, I think it would be at least in my consideration
yeah.
for Game of the Year.
Yes.
I don't know if it would... I highly doubt it would actually have been able to topple the big three that we talked about.
Yeah.
Horizon, Mario, and Zelda. But really interesting story. Now, we talked a little bit about... It's kind of key to play this game with headphones.
Yes, 100%.
Because as you're playing, she basically has like an inner dialogue or like multiple voices kind of speaking to her. So having headphones on, they'll kind of come from different directions, and it really adds to the experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, this game deals a lot with mental health, right?
Yes.
And I believe Ninja Theory actually had, experts. They consulted throughout development.
Yep.
Making sure that they got it right, and the headphone experience, it really does kind of bring you into the character's head and makes it feel like you are hearing voices, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of combined with the visuals too, where suddenly you're just walking through an environment and everything seems normal, and then all of a sudden color starts bleeding out, and it's like all of a sudden you're just in some creepy nightmare scenario, and
There's
it's like,
people impaled.
oh, this isn't good. There are so many corpses everywhere in this game.
Impaled on stakes, and it's pretty creepy game.
Yeah, and really cool exploration of kind of Norse mythology.
Yep.
It's funny coming off of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I think I was making this observation that it's that's almost like this comical take on a lot of this this mythology, and in this game it's taken to the most kind of horrific biblical kind of version of it.
Kind of
it's
polar
just
opposites.
yeah. So it was kind of interesting seeing the divide between certain characters in the kind of Marvel universe and how they're depicted in Hellblade.
Yeah, really great voice acting. Facial animations are on point.
Yeah.
The graphics in general in this game, gorgeous.
Unbelievable. And
you're playing on PS4.
Yeah, I'm playing on just a normal PS4, not in 4K, anything like that, and it looks sensational. And you're playing on PC, I can only imagine.
It looks great. Now, it doesn't run in 4K. I don't know if they have that capability for that game for some reason. But 1080p, 60 frames a second. It's a beautiful, beautiful game.
And I've also heard that it did really well actually for them. I believe they beat their sales projections.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
It was a cheaper price point. I think it was $40 US.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Yeah, it's kind of this cool kind of mid-tier kind of almost like a AA game, if you want to call it that, which we don't see a lot of anymore. And
I love that. 6 to 8 hours, it's not something that I need to invest a ton of time into to complete the experience. At a $20 cheaper price point, I think there should be more games like that, and maybe that's something that publishers can find, that sweet middle point in between an indie and a AAA game, where they can charge a little bit less, but put a little bit less development time into a game and get something out that will actually sell well.
But as you can, with the graphics and everything, nothing was really compromised, right? It's like you said, it's kind of a technical powerhouse.
What do you think of the combat system?
I liked it.
Me too.
I mean, I'm still not far enough in. I can kind of see where it might start getting on my nerves a bit because it kind of keeps throwing more enemies at you. It's that kind of classic way of or kind of artificially increasing the difficulty. It's just like, well, we've introduced you to a few of these enemies. Try them all at the same time, and it's like, oh no. I don't like the shield guys.
Yeah.
I still haven't figured out a good tactic for taking them out besides just getting like one hit in every now and then just like having a battle of attrition.
Yeah, you kind of have to dodge with them, and I find if you do the kick, you know the kick move where you can kind of stagger them?
There's a kick move?
There's a kick where she'll actually kick. I think it's B. You'll push B on the controller. It'll kick and it'll kind of stagger them, and then you can get in for an attack.
Well, that's funny because I didn't even know that button was used in combat. I've just been using kind of like block, dodge. She has like a charge attack.
Yes.
With like the L1 button.
Yeah, so I was saying I didn't even realize you could dodge until like halfway through my playthrough. I'm like, oh, this makes things easier.
There's no HUD in this game at all. And with combat, it doesn't tell you what the controls are. I mean, I looked up the controls, but
I like that there's no HUD. So now I turned on subtitles.
Okay.
Just so I put subtitles on in every game, mostly because I have kids and there's sometimes a lot going on in the background, so I can read what's going on. But then I kind of felt like it took me out a little bit, so I turned them off.
Yeah, this is well. I mean, especially because I'm using headphones, I feel like I don't really need. Subtitles, but I know what you mean. I do subtitles a lot in games too, just because a lot of the time they're throwing dialogue at you when you're busy, like you're in the middle of a mission. It's just like it's like Assassin's Creed or something. You're like assassinating a guy, and there's just all this like, conversation going.
Trying to read and fight the same time.
You're like, what?
And sometimes they've got accents, so I can't clearly hear sometimes. So I really like to know what they're saying. But I felt that it took away from the experience. Having no HUD and nothing on the screen really adds to the immersion. So that's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, available on the PC and PS4.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. Definitely one of I think 2017's. I don't want to say hidden gem, but I feel like it was maybe not talked about as much as it should have been.
Yeah. I've also been playing PUBG on the PC. Now, I spoke in the previous podcast about playing it on the Xbox One.
Right.
I was playing it on the Xbox One, and it's funny because all I kept on hearing about how much better the PC version is, and then I started thinking like, well, why am I even playing on the Xbox One?
Yeah, I have a perfectly capable PC, right?
Why don't I just bite the bullet and play on the PC? The thing that was kind of scaring me off of that is keyboard and mouse controls. I'm not very good at them. I didn't grow up playing a lot of PC games, so I don't have that much experience in getting used to the WASD with the mouse and where everything is tough for me. So it's a massive learning curve. I'm terrible at PUBG already. Adding in the keyboard and mouse, like I think I've played like 10 games. I've got maybe 8 games. I've got 1 kill, so I'm not doing very good.
It's one of those games that you don't feel bad about sucking at because to win is nearly impossible, right? The odds are stacked against you, right?
Yeah, and I think you mentioned previously, or that it's very quick to get you back into a game. So if you die, it's a very quick turnaround, which is key for a game like this. It really kind of encourages you to take chances in a game. Do you know what I mean? Like to not just hide somewhere. Like I always feel like, I made it in the top 10, but I only got 1 kill.
Yeah,
so
and that was just more like luck and you were hiding, right? Yeah.
I could probably hide the whole game and make a top 5 pretty easily.
Yeah.
But I didn't get any kills. So I didn't really feel like I did anything. Like, and it's funny because I'll see these compilations online of these like people raging at people who are like hiding and camping somewhere, and they just pop out and shoot somebody. They're like, "Yay, you got 1 kill. You did real good. I've got 10, and you're gonna finish in the top 10. But did you really do anything?"
Yeah.
So,
but hey. You know what? They're just jealous.
Yeah,
that's the smart way to play.
I don't know. Maybe they need to like maybe give more points for kills and get people to not camp as much as they do. Not that it's really a problem in this game.
Seems like it's kind of integral to the game design, camping. Right?
Yeah, at some point for sure. Yeah, within the game. Yeah. I mean, it just leads to multiple strategies. You can camp. You can go out and try and actively kill people. You can do both. You can start off by going heavy, then camping, and trying to figure out where the zone's going to close in.
And plus, you have to constantly be on the move anyway. So it's not like you can stay in the same spot the whole game unless you are right in the middle or whatever. Yeah, good point. So yeah, PUBG on the PC. It's got the new map on there, which I really liked. Right, desert map, right?
Yeah, and the graphics are noticeably better. It runs noticeably better. It's just an all-around better experience. It's just a matter of getting... I mean, the PC controls are far superior. it's just a matter of getting used to them.
Getting used to it, yeah.
I have a cool Chroma keyboard, and I downloaded I can't remember what it's called, but it enables, like, it'll light up all the keys that you use.
Oh, right.
Which really helps. Because
I'm
like, wait, don't shoot me, don't shoot me.
I don't need to use the J. Yeah.
I button, inventory, math. I'm just like, I'm so bad. I'm like,
don't shoot me, guys.
Just wait,
hold on.
Time out.
Oh, yes.
I. So, yeah.
You just completely forget where the keys are on your keyboard. It's like, you know how to type.
I'm not great at typing to begin with, to be honest with you, so... I used to practice, funny side note here, I used to practice my typing, and I still do from time to time on Typing of the Dead on the Dreamcast.
Oh my god. That's a game I've always wanted to play.
You gotta pull it out. I have the keyboard, I have the game.
Do it. Yeah.
It's actually really fun, and it's actually an effective way to practice your keyboard skills.
That's a great way to learn.
It really is.
Yeah.
I remember my mom was a secretary, so I got her to play it one time. She's like,
boom,
boom.
She's like on expert level, just like posting high scores.
Right into it, yeah. So, yeah, I've been playing some PUBG. The last thing I've been playing is Dragon Quest Builders on the Nintendo Switch.
Right, you tried out the demo, yeah.
Yeah, there's a demo that you can download. A pretty substantial demo. It's probably like a good, depending on how long you want to take with it, a good hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. The initial little town. I initially played it on the PS4.
Right.
We got it for Christmas last year, and I was playing it with my son. Really good, kind of light RPG with Minecraft elements.
Now, does it feel like the Switch is maybe the better platform for it?
I think the Switch is a better platform for almost anything.
Well, yeah, at this point, if it could run on the Switch, it's kind of like...
Having it on the go is great. It's a lot like Stardew Valley. Not so much in gameplay, but like you can kind of pick it up for a half hour and do a couple tasks.
Yeah.
Complete a couple missions, quests, and then put it down. So it translates really well to the handheld.
Is this out yet on Switch?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's coming out in the... I think it might be this month, like pretty soon.
Right. Oh. Man, I might pick that up.
Maybe February. It's January, February, I think. So, yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's a really good game. It might look a little bit kiddie, but it's really not. There's enough in there. No. It's not a kid's game. I mean, it's a game you can play with your kids. But,
sure. It's appropriate.
I think it's a nice balance between the whole Minecraft and it still has like the Dragon Quest RPG-ness. Yeah. So
I think it's a cool idea for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoy that one. So I'm looking forward to playing that on the Nintendo Switch. I didn't play it a whole lot in the PS4, so kind of being able to jump into it and get to the meat of the game on the Switch will be a bonus for me. So, moving on to our next piece of news, we had a pretty substantial... It was titled a Nintendo Direct Mini, but a whole lot of stuff came out of that little Direct. What was the biggest thing for you that was announced?
For me, I think it was the Wii U ports.
Yes.
Just Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze and Hyrule Warriors Deluxe Edition, something like that. 2 games that I have wanted to play since they came out, but as I've said many times, I never owned a Wii U, so I figured, okay, well, these games I'm probably just never going to play them. So
yeah.
Some people have complained about, it's like, it's mostly ports, right, that are that were announced in this Nintendo Direct, but honestly, I say bring them on. It just why not? It's increases the Switch's library, and I think this is the true home for a lot of these games and where they're actually going to be appreciated, because I feel like both Tropical Freeze and Hyrule Warriors, they never got the attention they deserved.
Yeah, we've talked about this many times of ports of the Nintendo Switch and how so many people missed these games the first time around on the Wii U. The disappointing thing for me is there's so many other things I would have rather seen before these 2 games. Like
a Mario Galaxy Collection, right?
Yeah, we talked Mario Galaxy HD. I've been saying that forever.
Yeah.
More of a
could still be coming. We don't know.
Yeah. That needs to happen.
Smash Brothers.
Treasure Tracker, I think would be great on the Nintendo
Captain
Switch.
Toad. I know. Yeah.
The Wonderful 101 we've discussed.
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors. This will be the 3rd platform it's now on. They brought it to the 3DS. We already
This is the first time this has ever happened where it was on the Nintendo console, then it was on their handheld, and now it's like an amalgamation of the 2.
Yeah,
because it collects everything.
I'm
right?
sure.
Yeah.
We've already got a Fire Emblem Warriors game, which I don't think did all that well.
Yeah, my buddy goes on about it. He loves it.
Really? Okay, there's certain people that love that Dynasty Warriors format.
Right here.
Okay.
Right here. Yeah.
Then
I am
you'll
so
love
pumped
Hyrule
for Hyrule Warriors.
Okay, so Hyrule Warriors, I found it was kind of like a bit of a dumbed down version of that.
Wait, how could it be dumbed down? It's already just hack and slash, press like the same couple buttons.
Yeah, I guess I thought Dynasty Warriors always featured more like RPG type stuff. No.
Oh well, yeah, you would increase your defense and attack as you went along and stuff.
I think it's with Dynasty Warrior stuff. I felt like there was more of a barrier to entry than the Hyrule Warriors game.
Probably because of it was like Xiao Yun.
Yeah, that's true. It's been like
Cao.
Dynasty,
like it was just such crazy names and stuff, right? And it's
was it based off like Chinese?
Well, it was like ancient Chinese history.
Okay, so maybe that was.
It was actually a good way to learn about Chinese.
I was just like, there's these Dynasty Warriors games that seem pretty complex and heavy to me, and then I felt like Hyrule Warriors was a good like entry point for people who were a little bit nervous to jump into those games.
Well, and plus the Zelda brand alone, right?
Yeah. Now I did play Hyrule Warriors for a couple hours on the Wii U when it was released, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. There was definitely, it felt like some technical issues on the Wii U version, so I'm hoping that the upgrade in power will be able to handle. Anytime you have that many enemies.
Yeah, it always seems to be something that they've struggled with,
And the 3DS version, I'm pretty sure, had the same issues, so...
Yeah, I just avoided that, because I heard it ran just, like, garbage on the, like, the original 3DS.
And because it was a new 3DS game, I believe.
No, I'll pass.
And Kirby, or Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is one that I missed the first time around, so...
Yeah, well, I've played a lot of Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Yes, me too.
The first one. The 3DS port is... incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, so I love these old 2D platformers.
You excited for Funky Kong?
Yes. Oh man.
That's so 90s.
I saw that. Yeah, it's just
love that
new
edition.
playable character, Funky Kong. I'm like, oh man.
I love that. That is the most 90s thing ever, and they know it, and I love it. Like, that was a great addition. At first glance, I'm like, what the heck, Funky Kong?
And you're like, yeah, this
it makes total sense. So, I guess probably the biggest announcement, for most people, was the Dark Souls remastered.
Right.
Coming to the Switch.
Now, this is a game that is also coming out on like every other platform.
Yeah,
right? That would kind of, I think, got lost in it, because at first I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool kind of a Switch exclusive. And it's like, oh no, PS4, Xbox One, PC, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But I think it's the first From Software game on like a Nintendo platform.
It's
at
a
least
very
in
positive
a really long
step.
time. Yeah, and interesting that it is the first Dark Souls. I wonder, because I don't even know, would they get like Dark Souls 3 even running on the Switch?
I would think it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think Dark Souls is that intensive. I mean, they could just downgrade the graphics.
Yeah.
The Dark Souls didn't really seem, well, I mean, graphically, but my point is, it's not like they have to, like, remove enemies.
No.
It was never a game where there was, like, multiple enemies on screen at once.
I think it's a good sign, right, of, confidence in the Switch, right? Because obviously this game is going to come out for all the other platforms. But that they added Switch in there, I think, it shows that they're...
Yeah, bodes well
paying
for the
attention, right?
Switch.
Yeah.
Payday 2. I think is it a co-op?
Yeah, that was kind of random. You never played the Payday
games?
Games? Okay. I played a bit of them. So yeah, it was like a first-person bank robber game. So it was based around co-op. You could go. I think it was up to 4 players online, and you would just do these different heists. And yeah, they were pretty cool games. I never got really into it. I liked the idea more than the execution.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, why not?
It seems like Payday is one of those games that's constantly iterating on itself and getting better.
Yeah, there was some controversy a few years ago about loot box type stuff.
Yeah.
But
so online shooters and online games in general are not something I really want to play on the Switch. Even something like Rocket League, I don't know if I want to hook up to the internet and sit on my couch and play a multiplayer game like that. To me, I don't know why, but I would just kind of rather play it on console.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm worried about like the Wi-Fi connection and that kind of thing and lag.
Yeah, I actually played Rocket League over the weekend. Had some buddies over, and we were playing online matches, and I mean we were also like streaming some stuff at the same time and all that. So I mean I'm sure the internet was already kind of taxed.
Was it on the Switch?
But, yeah,
okay.
We were playing on the Switch. And yeah, the lag got so bad that we're just like, you know what? Let's just play offline against the AI.
Yeah, it's just like online games are just something that it don't really interest me that much on the Switch.
No, me neither. Yeah.
We got some Mario plus Rabbids DLC coming. The Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, yeah, that's kind of cool. It's gonna be like a whole like story thing too, right?
Oh, okay. So not just like a playable character, but a new story.
Yeah, and that's why it's
content.
I guess paid cool. DLC. Also a few new games too. There's a new Mario Tennis game coming,
That's
which I'm pretty excited about.
actually the game that I'm most excited for.
Yes.
I love the Mario sports franchises.
Me too. Yeah, Mario Tennis
I would say Strikers is my favorite.
Right. I know you're a big
Mario
fan of those ones.
Yeah. I wish they would bring that back.
Well, I'd also like to see a Mario Golf game.
Absolutely.
On the Switch as well.
Yeah, I love the golf games.
There's a new Kirby game. I don't care so much about. There's so many. There's a new Kirby game like every 6 months. I swear.
I really don't care about Kirby either.
No.
There's one coming out, I believe, on the 3DS. I think this week.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
It's like that just got passed over. Yeah. What do you think of World Ends With You port? I've heard great things about this game. I never actually played it, but
I'm super excited for that.
Right.
I played it on the DS.
Yeah.
When it was initially released.
I've heard it described as like one of the best DS games.
It's a very good JRPG.
Yeah.
If you're not into JRPGs, it's much like Persona.
I might give it a try though, depending on the price.
I think you would like it.
Okay.
Price is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Price is always interesting with Nintendo releases.
I never feel
they're always more than they should be.
I never feel like any port should be. I feel like ports should be like $20 cheaper.
Yeah, except you know that like this Hyrule Warriors is probably gonna sell for the full like $80 or something like that. Well, in Canada here, $80. Yeah, that's what we're paying now for full price games. Ooh.
So yeah, The World Ends With You. It's nice to see that game because again, not a lot of people played that on the DS. It was kind of a niche JRPG title, and it was actually pretty tough to find.
Right.
It's pretty sought after now. It's kind of a rare game. So.
Okay.
Announcement of two kind of smaller indie type games. One is Celeste and the other is Faye, which I don't know much about. But Celeste is the newest game from a company developer called Matt Makes Games. Very small developer who did Towerfall. Did you play Towerfall?
Yeah, I love Towerfall.
Love that game.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite multiplayer games of like, I don't know, the past decade. I love it that much. So this one's like a kind of mix between that. It's kind of platforming and like Super Meat Boy a little bit. Like,
okay.
You know that really kind of tough platforming where you're constantly dying and restarting levels. So it's like that. It's like Towerfall, but kind of more of a platform mixed with Meat Boy. Faye, I'm not quite sure what Faye is, but yeah, it looks like it has a really beautiful art style.
Both from EA as well.
Adventure game. Yeah, it's like EA is like the, I don't know, publisher on them, but like I don't think EA actually owns these studios, as far as I know. The last thing we should mention here is the Super Mario Odyssey update. Yeah,
it's Luigi themed, right? Something with balloons, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, yeah.
So basically,
something
from
Luigi
what
and balloons.
From what I get, I guess you can pick. They were claiming it's like 2 new modes, but it's really you either hide the balloons or you go find the balloons. So
yeah.
Loose.
I don't know.
Two new
I'm
modes.
not very excited about this. Like,
well, this is one of those things that you're like, what?
Yeah.
But it could end up being awesome because Nintendo just comes up with all this clever stuff that it's almost one of those things like, I trust you, Nintendo, that this is going to be cool.
Well, I heard Luigi and I was like, oh man, is there going to be like a Luigi DLC where you get to play as him and do this stuff?
Yeah.
It's like, oh. But you kind of get to play as Luigi if you put on his costume.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like him, just a little more portly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, some really interesting stuff coming from the Super Nintendo Direct Mini. Really kind of bodes well for the future of the Switch. These are kind of
for the early part of the year too. That most of them are coming out within the next few months.
Yeah. So now these I feel like are games that a lot of them will be filling up the gaps
between the big releases.
Which we haven't really heard anything about yet. So to kind of have these filling in the gap, if we get something like a Smash Brothers, if we get like a new Pokemon to kind of fill out the rest of the year, if we can get 3 big releases to coincide with these throughout that year, that's a pretty good 2018.
Yeah, and if they have stuff like this lined up for kind of each quarter or something,
yeah,
I think it's going to be strong 2018 in terms of software lineup.
Sticking with Nintendo-related news, the company Hyperkin recently announced or showed off at CES that they're going to be making the Ultra Game Boy.
Ultra Game Boy. So what is this exactly?
So the prototype that they were showing is actually a Game Boy Pocket. Game Boy Pocket with a backlit screen. And now from what I've read, you can actually change. So there's a backlight mod. I do some of these mods on Game Boy, so I kind of know a little bit about it. You can install a backlight on these Game Boys. This one's going to have a RGB dial. So you'll actually be able to turn the dial and change the colors. I heard that this is possibly something that they're thinking about adding. The pictures that I've seen have been like the teal. There was a Game Boy Pocket that came out. It was called the Game Boy Light. I believe it was only available in Japan. But it has kind of this teal kind of backlight, so it makes everything like a teal colored.
Right.
The RGB dial that they're considering putting in would be able to switch the backlight color. So you could switch between pink, orange, green, teal.
Right.
Hopefully the puke green, which I'm a big fan of.
Because you hate your eyes and whatnot. Yeah.
Well, it's not so bad if it's backlit. It just like it feels like the original, but you can actually see what's happening.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. I doubt that they'll be able to call it the Ultra Game Boy. That's probably just like a working name for it. Because I'm assuming that Nintendo wouldn't exactly want them to be making this.
Yeah, I don't know how they would.
There wouldn't be a partnership.
Right?
There's no way Nintendo would partner up with Hyperkin to do this. I'd be shocked.
But does it fall into the same kind of category as a lot of Hyperkin's other
so now
like, because they did. Are they the ones that did the new Duke controller?
Yes.
Like bringing that back? Like they do a lot of the stuff, right?
I'm pretty sure that was a partnership. That was with Xbox.
Oh, that was
they're using the Xbox logo and everything, so I'm sure there's something there. But I'm pretty sure after console has been out a certain length of time, you're allowed to make clone consoles of it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's some sort of like legal rule there.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. I know that there was a lot of talk of Hyperkin doing a clone N64 system soon, because I know that time had almost elapsed where the period where they're allowed to do it. So that's why you see a ton of Nintendo NES clones, Super Nintendo clones.
Yeah, I mean, because it's
Genesis
been out of
clones.
Official production for
and there is some rule there. So this probably falls into that category. But using the name, maybe Nintendo doesn't have Game Boy copyright anymore. Maybe that's something maybe they let that expire.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but it'll be interesting to see if they keep that name. I would buy one of these day one. Doing this mod yourself on a Game Boy Pocket is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Modding original Game Boys, the big fat bricks, is pretty easy, but these ones specifically, not so much. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see like kind of how this affects Nintendo's,
potential plans, right?
Yeah, for like a Game Boy Classic, because I've mentioned many times that it'd be nice for Nintendo to do some sort of Game Boy Classic with built-in games. They would never do a cartridge slot. That's kind of where Hyperkin kind of fills that void. But I would love to see a Game Boy Classic from Nintendo at some point.
So sticking with Nintendo for one more segment until we move on to something different. There was talk this week about Nintendo potentially supporting VR or 4K, and so I believe this was managing director of Nintendo France, Philippe Lavaux.
The most French name ever heard.
Yes, very much. So he kind of reiterated some previous statements from Nintendo about kind of their hesitance to pursue either of these technologies, and he said that he really doesn't see Nintendo going with either.
Yeah.
He just doesn't kind of see either as appealing to the mainstream right now. And, Nintendo is very much, it's a family-oriented company. That's kind of what their hardware is aimed at. And, 4K and VR are very, very much still niche right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any need for Nintendo to jump into, being able to run their games in 4K.
No.
Especially not this console version, maybe for their next console, but in the next 5 years, mass adoption of the 4K TVs isn't really going to happen for in the near future. So it's not really necessary for them to have to worry about it right now, especially since their console's selling so well to begin with.
Right. There's no point, I think, in investing in that. I mean, 4K is going to become the standard, at some point, and by that point, Nintendo will probably be on their next console, so they could make that, support 4K. So yeah.
And the VR thing, I guess it would be kind of cool to have a headset where you can slide it in, but again, I don't know if
the Switch wouldn't be powerful enough. If the PS4 struggles to do it,
it would be powerful enough to run smaller experiences, not the type of games that people would actively buy it for VR.
Yeah, I think this is smart. I mean, Lavaux also makes the point that the the Switch is offering something different from the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, and that Nintendo is a smaller company than Sony or Microsoft, who are very much big tech companies.
Yes.
They're not just in the games business, so, they want to be, pioneers in both of these spaces. Well, at least Sony. I mean, Microsoft hasn't even, like, what's going on with their VR plans for the Xbox? I don't know.
They don't really have any right now, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought this was just kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that Nintendo really needs to worry about this stuff right now, especially with the console selling so well. So.
Yeah. So, Charlie, I mentioned before that I really didn't play much over the last week or so, and that's because I was watching so much, and specifically, I was watching the Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Now, are you familiar with this?
I am. Just, seeing on social media and some of the news sites reporting that the Overwatch League had started earlier, this week? Or last week?
Yeah, I think the kind of like preliminaries were about a week and a half ago, but it really started to get going last week. And so this is very like Blizzard's big push into Overwatch esports. And this thing it was really impressive. Now I'm pretty clueless when it comes to esports. I don't watch much in the way of anything. Like I'm not watching League, I'm not watching Dota. But Overwatch is a game that is near and dear to my heart, and I thought, okay, so this is the official esports league for the game. I might as well check this out, and I walked away pretty impressed. Production values were through the roof, and they're taking kind of a different kind of spin this time, where it's different cities represented.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like pro sports. They have nothing to do with the cities themselves, I would assume. I guess maybe for the foreign, maybe the Seoul team is actually people from Seoul.
Yeah.
Whereas, the Boston team is not full of a bunch of guys from Boston, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure how that works, but the big thing was, me and my buddies got into this, and we're like, okay, what team are we going to support? We have to find a team, because
that's awesome.
Which is really cool, because in Overwatch itself, it's the league is really being pushed. They have like a new thing.
I noticed that.
Yeah, there's a new thing in the menu that it just says Overwatch League, and you click on it and it'll take you to Twitch and you can watch it.
That's cool.
And then also they released skins based on each team for every character. So there has been some, complaints about like, all these skins are way too expensive, because I think it works out to like, they give you enough to get one skin, and then based on like, made up currency or whatever, and then I think it's like $5 for each skin after that.
Okay.
And I don't really see it as a big problem, because it's like almost like you're supporting your team, and they're just like recolorings of the like kind of boring normal Overwatch skins, right? But yeah, and actually watching this was an interesting experience, because I think first-person shooters aren't really that great for esports, just because if it's like a top-down game like a MOBA, you can kind of see what's going on.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good point.
You can kind of see everything. With a game like Overwatch, it's so fast and frenetic that it's kind of crazy. Like I'm watching it and I'm thinking, if you didn't know how this game works, this just looks like the craziest thing you've ever seen. Like, what the heck is going on?
The one thing I have to give them credit for is they've really kind of, perfected this whole esports thing with, like, they've got these fantastic announcers who know the game
commentary
inside out.
Was top notch.
And these commentators, if they can relate it to average people and kind of, while it, commentating on the match itself at a high level, still being able to relate it to people who don't necessarily know every single in and outs of Overwatch. Most people watching this would know the general premise of two teams in Overwatch competing against each other.
Yeah.
But it's really up to those commentators to be able to kind of cater to both crowds.
Yeah, and I think in that sense they are kind of more preaching to the converted, because I think if you didn't know anything about Overwatch, it's like you're not going to be watching this. And you're not going to know what's going on, like what they're talking about.
I mean, I'm just thinking about myself. So I really like Overwatch. I put probably 10 hours into the game. I don't know every single map inside out. I don't know, every character's move, and, I don't know everything there is to know about Overwatch. but I would watch this. Like, and I'm right into. I definitely will be watching Overwatch League for sure.
I will say it's a good way to, like, with any game that you consider yourself, like, I consider myself a pretty decent Overwatch player.
Yeah.
After watching this,
oh
I suck at this game.
I could imagine.
Like, they're just pulling off things I would never even think of, and using characters in ways that, you know, I wouldn't even think you'd be able to. But it gives you, I think, some good insight. It's a way I can kind of see what the appeal is of esports now too, because if it's a game you are really passionate about, you're seeing the best of the best playing it, but you're also picking up tips for yourself, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Big deal for Twitch. A $90 million streaming deal between them and Blizzard, I guess.
Yeah.
That's for exclusivity on the Twitch platform. Huge deal for Twitch. I mean, Twitch was already the go-to place for streaming, but to have the exclusivity to the Overwatch League is a massive deal for Twitch.
Yeah. So, I want to see how well this does, and if it just becomes this kind of annual thing.
I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Like, I just know, I think this is more geared towards the general gamer than something like, I would never watch a MOBA or, you know, Dota stream. That's too complicated.
Sure.
Whereas I think at least a shooter, most people can relate more to a shooter.
Right. Okay, so that's kind of interesting because like I said, it's not the best for actual esports presentation because of it being a shooter, but shooters in general are just easier to understand.
And I think that more people would be likely to, you know, somebody who's never watched one of these, like esports in general, would be more likely to would gravitate more towards the Overwatch League than they would, you know, StarCraft, or I don't know what else is there for esports right now.
Yeah, really.
Dota. I don't even really know because I don't play those type of games.
Yeah, like Counter-Strike, I guess, would be another.
Do they have esports for Counter-Strike?
Oh yeah, they must. Not that I've ever watched, but I mean, it's such a popular game.
Call of
I'd
Duty,
have to assume.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Any of the really big popular online games, I think. Yeah. So yeah, if you're a fan of Overwatch or just esports in general, you know, I'd highly recommend checking out the Overwatch League. And what's really cool is it's running for like the next 6 months. The regular season goes until June, and then I guess the playoffs will be from June until July.
It's so cool to think of this as like an actual sport.
Yeah, like it's got like a huge season and everything, which, you know, I didn't realize when I first got into it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep watching and following it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Go Houston Outlaws!
Go Seoul!
Man, I wish there was a Toronto team.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if this catches on, there might be.
Maybe.
Yeah, might be. They might expand the league. So, okay, new segment for this episode of the Goliath Gamecast. It's going to be titled the Random Story of the Week. Each one of us will pick a random story without the other person knowing beforehand, so we can get kind of our live thoughts and reactions to the story. I'll start this week, a story that I picked out from Kotaku. Amazon tempts lazy snackers with monthly Oreo subscription service.
What?
Okay, so Amazon is going to allow you to buy either a 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month subscription, the 12-month being $240. So we're looking at $20 a month for a subscription service where they'll send you different crazy, like, Oreos. 2 packages each month. See, now, being in Canada, my first instinct is, yes, sign me up right away, because I go down to the States and I see these, like, they have, like, I don't know.
There's some insane varieties of Oreos.
Swedish berry Oreos. I'm like, I just want to try these.
Yeah.
Like, and I always see on Kotaku, they do the Snack Taku where they try this stuff out. And I'm always up for trying out crazy snacks. I used to do a unboxing on my YouTube channel of Japanese snacks, and I really like to kind of experience these things. So I think it's pretty cool. It sounds like you get 2 packages of Oreos, and then you'll get some like Oreo related items like a mug. They're listing like socks here, stuff like that. $20 a month.
Something for the Oreo enthusiast in all of us.
You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people now who are into these crazy Oreos. Like, I don't know, red velvet, peanut butter. There's all kinds of birthday cake. Mint was one that I actually remember
Mint is one of the greatest things. Yeah.
So yeah, is that something that you would consider, Nick?
No. But I find it interesting. I mean, yeah, like Oreos are one of those things that's like, I like to, try some of the crazy flavors here and there, but I don't think I need a subscription service sending me
I love
truckload of cookies.
I love subscription services, partially because I love getting stuff in the mail. So
and
I have 2 kids where it's just like, oh, our box is here, you know. So it's something that
Oreos.
I would definitely love to try. This kind of originated with Kit Kats. So in Japan, they've got like crazy different. The one that I've had before that's really good is the matcha. Matcha, you know, the bean, is it matcha bean?
Okay. Wait, really I think I've tried this.
So
actually.
good.
Yeah.
It's like Anyway, so it kind of originated with the Kit Kat, and now you'll see other companies doing just kind of all these really crazy and interesting flavors. And it's been huge for Oreo. I mean, Oreos were Oreos, but now you see a lot of like social media coverage and publicity for these just crazy special edition Oreos.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely got a chance to do well, and it's something that I would definitely subscribe to.
Well, I think that definitely qualifies as a random story of the week.
That's about as random as it gets.
Talk to me about Oreo subscriptions.
All right, Nick. So what's your random story of the week? Okay.
So I debated about putting this on here, but I thought it was such a funny, totally 2018 thing that I just had to include it. So last night I was scrolling through Twitter when I started seeing all this random commentary on President Donald Trump's weight.
Okay.
Now, I want to preface this by saying we're not, wading into any kind of political discussion here. Whatever. I don't care about that right now.
Just sticking to his weight.
Just sticking to his. Yeah, we're just gonna fat shame the president. It's all right. No, it's not. It's not about that. No. What I found funny was that so I guess they released like Trump's official physical, right? Okay. And the doctor said like it was that his weight was 239 pounds or something like that.
Fake news.
Which is interesting. So people are pointing out that is 1 pound under what would qualify him as being obese on the
1 pound.
The body mass index, right? So this, brought about a whole string of people just like almost trying to debunk this, right? Being like, there is no way that this man weighs 239 pounds. They're comparing it to people who are similar. He's 6'3". Yeah. Right. Clearly not in the greatest shape. So this got to the point where even James Gunn, who directs the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he kind of I don't know if he was joking, but he said he would offer $100,000 to get Donald Trump's weight on an accurate scale. So he said, Trump's medical exam says he's 6'3" and 239 pounds. Albert Pujols, his baseball player, is 6'3" and 240 pounds. If the dementia tests are equally accurate, we are doomed. Now, this sparked a debate with actually me and my roommate about, well, do you think he could actually be 239 pounds or is he more?
Okay, so I am 6'4", and I'm almost 260 pounds. So I'm overweight, and I'm definitely considered the body mass index scale.
Well, it's a terrible way of.
It really is.
Yeah.
So I'm considered obese. Yes.
By that
definitely
measure. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, do I weigh more than the president? He definitely does not weigh 240. But it's just a matter of how much is he lying by. Are we talking about 40 pounds, or is he fudging it by 15 or 20?
Yeah.
I would guess he'd be closer to 250, 260 range.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like 280 or anything like that.
No,
I have seen pictures of like him in his little golf outfit, and he's
I mean, those aren't the most flattering photos, to be fair,
he's built. He's pretty,
yeah.
He's got a pretty wide body, so like he's got the frame to put weight on.
Yeah, so it's like 239, I don't know, that's...
He might have been 239 10 years ago,
yeah,
maybe, in his apprentice days.
Yeah, anyway, I don't want to turn this into a big, debate about,
maybe he's got an early subscription to the Amazon Oreo Club. Is that...
Oh!
That's 2 pretty random stories.
Yeah, that's somehow linked up, right? Yeah, so
tie it all back in together. So that's it for our 2 extremely random stories of the week. Pretty fun segment.
This was kind of an interesting segment. I promise my next one will not be about Trump, although he makes news every day, so who knows.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, that's it for this episode of the Goliath Gamecast. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, you can find all the subscription links in the description below. You can find the Goliath Gamecast on iTunes, Stitcher, the Google Play Store, and also check out the Goliath Screencast we were just on this week for this week's episode.
Yeah, going on for our top 5 favorite movies.
Yeah, it was
2017.
Really good discussion, some really good movies this year. So
yeah,
I'll leave links in the description below for that as well.
Wait, what was your number 1?
My number 1 was 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
I'm only saying that because Charlie had the duck out before the end of the podcast, so I never got to find out.
What was your number 1?
Blade Runner 2049.
Okay, yeah. 2 fantastic movies. Excellent year for movies.
Yes.
Feel free to go check out the screencast. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.